Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Barnett, Senator Barrett, Senator Berry, Senator Blackman, Senator Blackwell, Senator Blunt, Senator Boyd, Senator Branning, Senator Brumfield, Senator Bryan, Senator Butler, Senator Carter, Senator Chazanall, Senator Chisholm, Senator DeBar, Senator Delano, Senator England, Senator Fillingane, Senator Frazier, Senator Harkins, Senator Hickman, Senator Hill, Senator Hobson, Senator Horn, Senator Jackson, Senator Johnson, Senator Jordan, Senator Kirby, Senator Ladner, Senator McCon, Senator McClendon, Senator McMahon, Senator Michelle, Senator Norwood, Senator Parker, Senator Parks, Senator Pope, Senator Rhodes, Senator Robinson, Senator Seymour, Senator Simmons of the 12th, Senator Simmons of the 13th, Senator Sparks, Senator Suber, Senator Tate, Senator Thomas, Senator Thompson, Senator Turner Ford, Senator Whaley, Senator Wiggins, Senator Williams, Senator Younger. Mr. President, a quorum is present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Will the senators and guests in the gallery please rise for the invocation given by Senator Brumfield and to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Senator Thompson. Senator Brumfield.
Our God, our Father, how blessed we are to have the beauty of this day that was not promised. We thank you, God, for we've come to the realization that it is in you that we live, move, and have our being. For that we say thank you. I pray now, God, that your love would permeate our hearts, guide our mind, let your wisdom overtake us, that we might do what you've called us to do, and that's bring glory and honor to your name. Thank you now. We bless you now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Senator Brumfield. Thank you, Senator Thompson.
They asked me to be the senator's pastor, so I told them,
Okay, thank you, Senator Brumfield. That's not his first prayer. Senator Thompson, appreciate you. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate dispense with reading of the journal.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you. Message and petitions, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, there are none.
Committee reports, Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Mr. President, I move the Senate dispense with the reading of the committee reports.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the committee reports. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Next, the reading of the titles of bills and resolutions. I recognize Senator Polk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate dispense with the reading of the titles of the bills and resolutions.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the titles of bills and resolutions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Polk. Introduction of guests. Senate introduction of guests. Senator Robinson.
Good morning, Mr. President. If you would turn your attention to the South Gallery, it is my pleasure to introduce Steve Gent, Sanderson Championship Golf Tournament Director, and Johnny Lane, Treasurer of the Century Club Charities. Welcome to your capital.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for all the work, real positive for the state of Mississippi. Your tournament is, and we appreciate you, and I know the hospital, particularly the Children's Hospital, appreciates all you do for them. Okay, other introduction of guests. Other introduction of guests. Okay, we'll move to the calendar. Currently, the Senate has 1,130 bills. We have 43 bills that we have assigned to the House measures. We'll start with the, pardon me? Oh, sorry. We'll start with the calendar. Senator Hobson, I recognize
Thank you, Mr. President. As we skip items 1 through 8 on the calendar, have them retain their place, go to item 9 and have the title read.
Go to item 9. Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2926, appropriation, additional appropriations for various state agencies for fiscal year 2024 and fiscal year 2025.
I make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. You're recognized, Senator Hobson. Explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a deficit bill. For those that were in committee yesterday, you heard that this is one of what will probably be 2 deficit bills that we take up this session, and that's typical. One early on to get some bills paid and some things done that need to be moving along. The other one probably late in the session as we have different things that come in from our agencies that we have to handle. But the first one is a kind of a compilation of a lot of things that have been hanging out for a while that we need to get handled, and I'll go through it briefly with you. Obviously, if you have any questions at the end on any of these items, you can certainly ask those. But the first section deals with settlements from the AG's office. One of those $6,224. It's related to an EPA cleanup site in Harrison County. There are 3 $50,000 payments each to persons that were wrongfully convicted in the state. We do this every year. There's a statute on the books for those that are new to the chamber that requires any person that's been wrongfully convicted and detained in the state prison system, if that's overturned, they will get $50,000 worth of payment up to a certain number of years that they've served in the prison system. Next is a $120,000 payment, and this is part of a $120,000 payment under Olivia Y case, and that's paying the plaintiff's counsel. And then there's another case that's ongoing, Doe versus Fitch. It deals with four persons that have been placed on the sex offender registry from another state that were retained on the sex offender registry too long in Mississippi, and that matter was resolved, $409,692. Then we have some ongoing litigation payment of attorney's fees for various matters. The total amount for those is $2.4 million. Those cases include a DOJ case concerning the correction system. Also, we have another one concerning violations of the 8th and 14th Amendments in the prison system. Another is an EPA case against the state of Mississippi that is being fought currently by the AG's office and outside counsel about environmental claims on air quality in the state. We're one of many states that is involved in this lawsuit right now, and I think that's my understanding that our state is fighting this pretty vigorously. Then we have one that's come up before, and this is the IRS case versus state agencies. Many of you will recall that several of our agencies were penalized under the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, because they didn't offer insurance to some of their employees that qualified for insurance. This is the payment for counsel for $75,000. Then we have a lawsuit that has been filed challenging the Supreme Court districts. As you know, those are the same districts as PSC and Department of Transportation. That is $200,000. We have another lawsuit concerning our legislative maps. It's pending. Payment of that is $750,000. We also have another individual suit about disability rights in the correction system, and the payment for legal fees is $350,000 on that one. In addition, Section 3 of this bill includes the penalty for ACA, and that's paid, by the way, so far all of this is paid out of capital expense funds. I'll let you know which fund these are coming from. This one on the ACA payment for the Veterans Affairs is $891,805. These violations occurred back in 2020. The next section 4, deals with the DPS settlement on a case where the medical examiner misdiagnosed a homicide. That lawsuit resulted in a $520,000 payment out of capital expense funds. Section 5 is $2.7 million of special fund authority to the Department of Revenue. I gave credit to Senator Delano yesterday in the committee. This deals with the black license plates that we have. This is all special fund authority, and obviously we're going to get the money back by the payment of the tags, but there's been such a high demand, they're having to order more tags, and this includes the freight costs for getting those tags in. Section 6 is another capital expense fund payment to the Joint Reapportionment Committee. As you know, we have that committee that was established a couple of years ago to take care of our legislative map redrawing, and the payment for legal assistance, and that one is $85,000. Section 7 deals with special fund authority for Go Mesa funds, a project on the coast that was related to restoring the Broadwater Marina, and that's out of those Go Mesa funds. So again, no general or capital expense funds here, but that amount is $3,438,425. Section 8 includes $834,250 special fund authority. This is related to projects that the Outdoor Stewardship Fund allocated to the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, and we had to give them the spending authority for this too. And those projects include improving wildlife habitats, forest management on state-owned WMAs, trail improvements at Tishomingo State Park, the Turcotte Shooting Facility Skeet House construction, Horseshoe Lake Restoration Project, Lake Columbia Kayak Launch, and Holmes County State Park Kayak Launch. Section 9, $407,687, special fund authority only. This is related to some burn care funds that were inadvertently sent to a prior vendor by the Department of Health. They did get those funds back, but they've got to have the authority to spend the money and send it off to the proper vendor, which was Merit Health Central. Section 10 is $500,000 for ARPA funds that were not utilized by non-entitlement units. If you'll recall, when the state got the ARPA funds that were to go to the cities and counties, it also included money that went to non-entitlement units, which were the small villages and communities that got some money. There were a few that didn't use their money, so that money's come back to the Department of Finance Administration, and we need to give them the authority to issue that money out to other NEUs. Section 11 is $4.3 million in general funds. This is related to increases in our property insurance. Unfortunately, property insurance has gone up in the state for our state buildings and other properties, and that's just the cost to continue insurance. I have spoken with DFA about other options to see if we can move this down some, if there are some buildings that we may take off of our state list because we don't want to keep them insured, or maybe there are some other options on looking at more affordable insurance, but we've got to pay this year. And then finally, Section 12 is related to CPS. And I explained this in committee yesterday. I'll try to make sure you understand what's going on here. When CPS broke off from DHS, there were some, I would say, miscalculations as to what the cost would be. And this is none of the legislative's fault. This is related to what CPS provided us. We gave them all the money they asked for, but I don't think they calculated what they were going to need to help break off to kind of stand themselves up and make sure they had all the employees they needed. Also, they didn't really project the number of employees they needed adequately. This resulted in a need to get additional funds for this. And then one of the things that was a real concern for me is they had increased the pay on some employees. It still was within the realm or the variables that you got for SEC squared. And I talked to the director about this, and I said, you know, you're going to have to, you could readjust, and she could do that, but our concern is related to the outstanding lawsuit, the Olivia Wilde lawsuit. Right now, I will tell you that they report that they've gotten the increased caseload met requirement of 72%. The goal is by this fall that they would get to 90%, and that's the standard that Olivia Wilde has set. So after much discussion on this, I think the best thing for us to do, and by the way, this is all special fund authority, these are not general funds or capital expense funds, is to allow them to utilize those funds to help them keep going on the Olivia Wilde lawsuit and get some of these things corrected that they didn't do very well when they separated from DHS last year. But we would give them the authority to spend those funds and to help keep them on track for getting in line with the requirements as set by Olivia Wilde. That's an explanation of the deficit bill, first deficit bill. Mr. President, I will yield for questions.
Questions on the bill? Questions on the bill? Senator Sparks, for what purpose you seek recognition, sir?
A question, Mr.
You yield
President.
for a question, Senator Hobson?
I yield. Yes, sir.
Senator Sparks, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On line 56, the United States Department of Justice CRIPA investigation of MDOC, $350,000. Are we, what is our duty there? What are we paying? Are we paying it to, on behalf? Is that?
This is just payment to counsel.
Okay, so.
Yeah, $350,000 right now to the Butler Snow law firm for defending that lawsuit.
All right, is that the lawsuit that has nothing to do with the recent report that just came out from the Department of Justice about the facilities at Wilkinson, Central, and South?
Yeah, it deals with the conditions of confinement within the prisons. I have seen a little bit. I haven't seen the entire report that came out the other day from DOJ. And so I don't, some of the stuff I read in there was less related to condition, but some of it may have been related to it. But I understand that there may be some response to the DOJ. I don't know if that was the findings or actually just a report on some things that they were alleging, but I understand there may be some rebuttal to that.
Okay, but this $350,000 has nothing to do with that report. This is prior events.
Yeah,
correct?
ongoing litigation with the Department
Thank you,
of Justice.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Senator Norwood, for what purpose, sir?
Question, Mr. President.
You yield for a question, Senator Hobson?
I do yield.
Senator Norwood, you're recognized for a question, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Hobson,
Yes, sir.
just a friendly question here. Are we looking at an exit strategy, or are we, some of these fines and penalties, they've been around for a while. Is something we're going to have to live with, or are we looking at being able to cure whatever the challenges that may be out there?
Let me make sure I'm understanding. Is this related to the CPS matter only, or some of the other lawsuits that we have in here?
I think the CPS was the main one, and I think you had answered Senator Sparks on the Department of Correction. But I guess that CPS would be the main one.
Senator, yes. I mean, the short answer is, based on my discussions with Andrea Sanders and her staff, based on some discussions I've even had with the governor on this, I hope they are working vigorously to address the issues that were brought forward in Olivia Y. And as you know, we spend millions of dollars every year just paying for the monitors in Olivia Y. So we need to get out of that as soon as we can, because we're spending money on something that doesn't help our system at all. And that's something I have repeatedly discussed with Andrea, is how quickly, what can we do? We've tried to give them everything they've needed. We gave them everything they needed and requested last year. The problem is they just didn't calculate properly what they needed to get done. So it's not because we did anything wrong in providing the funds for them, and we've allowed them to increase some salaries to try to get out of this as quickly as possible, because the sooner we get out of it, the more money we can save and actually apply it to the issues at CPS that we need to continue to address, and other agencies too.
Well, have they, and I mean, this may not be appropriate for you, but I guess, are you aware of conversations that may have taken place or that need to take place between, I guess, CPS, the state, and the federal individuals, see if there are, if there could be if we can develop an exit strategy, because I know we've made considerable progress, and look like with the progress that we're making, there should be some concessions made to help the state. And like you said, the more money that we save, the more money you can invest in trying to serve children. Do you know if any such conversation has taken place? Or?
Yes. According to Andrea Sanders, the director, she has had discussions with them. I think they are on the right track. I mean, there are a few things that we've got to continue to shore up, and they include one of the things that's come up in another committee, and you may have been on it, is making sure we've got our intake system strong so we get any of these cases reported and processed quickly, investigated quickly, because you can't can't waste time when you're trying to investigate a child abuse situation. You got to get that information in quickly and get somebody out to investigate it. And then obviously what we ultimately, I think, want to do here is streamline the process from report of abuse or problems through investigation, foster care, or bringing them into CPS custody, into foster care if necessary, and then maybe hopefully on to either a permanent home or adoption. So there's a process in here. Things we've worked on the last couple of years that you and I and all of us have been a part of is trying to streamline that process. But one of the things I think they're talking about is making sure we've got our strong intake system and reporting system. And then the other part is making sure that we've got enough employees that are able to get out there and do the work that needs to be done. And that's part of what we're doing here.
And you feel comfortable that the monies that we're making available is adequate to continue to keep making progress?
We gave them all the money they requested last year, and we actually gave them a certain amount of ARPA funds. I'd have to look at Senator Polk and rely on him, but it was tens of millions of dollars to help improve their systems within, so they can, some computers and different things to help them speed up the process of getting to where they needed to be. Bear with me. Yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah, one thing that Corbin pointed out too is that 72% that I mentioned earlier, that's the highest they've had in 20 years. So they appear to be on the right track. Now, I'm not in the middle of their agency to know everything that's going on there. I do think they got some other issues that need to be worked out. One of those is making sure they got a good intake system. And I've had discussions with some of the youth court judges about this very thing, and that's been a bit of a concern to make sure our system is uniform throughout the state and we're processing any problems quickly, because it's my understanding that maybe some areas of the state have been really good about it. Other areas we've had some backlogs and some delays that we can't tolerate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Hobson, for your support.
Thank you, Senator Norwood.
Senator Jordan, for what purpose?
I have a question to the chairman, Mr. President.
Senator Hobson, will you yield for a question?
I do yield.
Senator Jordan, you're recognized for your question.
Thank you, sir. What was the total? You got the total someplace. What was the total debt that we paid for these agencies?
Well, you mean the total of everything in here?
Yes, sir.
Gosh, I don't know if I have that, Senator Jordan. Let's see. I do. Total funds $26,668,101. Now, only $4.3 million of that is general funds, and that was the payment for the property insurance, the increases in our state property insurance. $4.5 million, roughly, a little over that, is out of capital expense funds, and then $500,000 of it was that ARPA allocation that was for the non-entitlement units, and then finally a little over, almost $17.3 million is special fund authority. So there's no additional general or capital expense funds, just gives them the authority to utilize funds they already have from another source.
Now, how do this, during the period of inflation, what we're in the midst of now, I believe, how does this compare to last year? Is anybody monitoring to see if there are waste of funds?
Which agency, Senator?
I'm talking about the total package. Is anyone monitor and see if that particular agent are wasting funds or not using them properly or using them where there's no need?
Well, the best monitoring system that we have is through our elbow staff. They look at every agency and bring to us what we think, how they're spending the money. Are they following the rules that we put in place through our appropriations bills, or general bills too, for that matter, and general bills? And then we get a report back about where they are with salaries, contracts, commodities, travel, other things that they may be doing in their budgets, and we try to streamline those, get down to what the basics are every year, and then start looking, are there things they need to add back in during the process?
Well, final question, how did the indebtedness we're paying $26 million this year compared to last year? Are we going to be paying more, or we have more agencies, or more people asking for resources, or what? How is that done?
I really have never looked at that, Senator, because it's, for instance, some of these things on judgments, legal expenses, I rattled through, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lawsuits that are ongoing. You never know how much you're going to spend on legal fees. And obviously, if you have a settlement, typically we have some settlements too where we get some money that comes in too.
Sure.
Maybe a suit filed by the AG or someone that brings in funds. So that's just kind of a case-by-case, year-by-year basis. So I've never really monitored how it looks. I mean, my concerns are largely looking at general funds and capital expense funds. Special fund authority, although you need to keep an eye on it, sometimes it's because of the things that I mentioned today that you have the ability to draw down those funds. It wasn't put in your budget for some reason. They didn't anticipate that they would need it, but they do have the authority to pull down federal funds or some other outside source funds.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Jordan.
Thank you, Senator Jordan. Other questions on the bill? Other questions on the bill? Senator Hobson, you're recognized.
No other questions. My motion is adoption, Senate Bill 2926, by use of the morning roll call.
Use of the morning roll call has been requested. Anyone object to the procedure? Wish to be recorded as voting no. Present. Seeing none, the bill passes by use of the morning roll call.
Mr. President, I request immediate release.
Seeing no objection is granted. Harkins, back on the calendar, Senate, we're on number 10. Senator Harkins. Pass and retain Senator Harkins through 25. Rules, Senator Kirby. Pass and retain rules through 32. Senator Fillingane. Pass and retain. Senator Younger. Pass and retain 34. Senator Parker. Pass and retain 37 to 44. Senator Branning. Pass and retain 45. Senator Carter. Pass and retain 47, 48, 49. Senator Barnett. Pass and retain 50 to 51. Senator Barr. Senator Michelle. Pass and retain. Senator Fillingane. Pass and retain. Senator Turner Ford. Pass and retain. Senator England. Pass and retain. Senator Younger. Pass and retain. Senator Parker. Pass and retain. Senate, we're on 83. Senator Michelle. Pass and retain. Senator Fillingane. Pass and retain. Senator Polk. Pass. That's 88 through 92. Senator Tate. Pass and retain. Senator Thompson. Pass and retain till 98. Senator Chasnow. Pass and retain. Senator Simmons. Pass and retain. Senator Branning. Pass and retain. Senator Suber. Pass and retain. Senator Barrett. Senator Bryan. Pass and retain. Senator Bryan through Senator Williams, 125. Pass and retain. Senator Parker. Senator Barnett. Senator Polk. All pass and retain. Senator Carter. Pass and retain. Senator Johnson. Pass and retain. Senator Wiggins. Pass and retain. Senator Branning. Senator Whaley. Pass and retain. Senator Boyd. Senator England. Pass and retain. Senator Wiggins. Pass and retain. Senator Sparks. Pass and retain. Senator DeBar. Pass and retain. All retain their place upon the calendar. As I had mentioned to you, we have 1,130 measures, 43 House measures have been allocated. We'll go to announcements. Senator Turner Ford.
Public Health Subcommittee T will meet immediately after recess in room 210.
210, Mr. Clerk. Senator Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Monday, Judiciary A will meet 5 minutes after adjournment.
Monday, Mr. Clerk. Senator Barnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Corrections will meet right after adjournment today. immediately after the adjournment in room 216.
216, Mr. Clerk. Senator Norwood.
Introduction of a resolution out of order, Mr. President.
Please proceed. Bring it to the front. Thank you, Senator Sparks.
Judiciary B will meet at 2 p.m. on Monday, March 4th in room 409. Judiciary B.
Judd B, 2 p.m. Monday. Senator Harkins.
Adjourn in memory.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. When the Senate adjourns today, I ask they do so in memory of Miss Lakin Hope Riley, a young lady whose life was cut short.
Thank you, Senator Boyd.
Announcement, universities and college will meet at 3 o'clock on Monday.
3 o'clock Monday. Senator Carter.
Announcement.
Please proceed.
Senate Energy will meet at 3:30 on Monday.
Energy, 3:30, Mr. Clerk. Senator Hill.
Adjourn in memory.
Please proceed.
When the Senate adjourns, I'd like them to adjourn in the memory of Anthony Jandusa, who is the father of the Alderwoman Ann Jandusa Smith of Poplarville.
Thank you, Senator Hill. Senator Branning.
Thank you, Mr. President. Adjourn in memory, please.
Please proceed.
When the Senate adjourns today, I ask that we do so in memory of Jonathan Graham Cheney, Lawson Long, and D.J. Coburn, all of Neshoba County.
Thank you. Senator Polk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Announcement.
Please proceed.
Business and financial institutions will meet Monday afternoon upon recess in room 407.
407, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Clerk. Senator Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate Insurance Committee will meet Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. in room 216.
9 a.m. Tuesday morning, Mr. Clerk. Want to read the title, Mr. Clerk?
Extend congratulations of legislature to blues legend Bobby Rush for winning 3rd Grammy Award for Best Traditional Blues Album.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Clerk, will you read the meeting scheduled?
Public Health and Welfare T Subcommittee will meet upon recess in room 210, and Corrections will meet upon recess in room 216 today. And Judiciary A on Monday will meet 5 minutes after recess, 216, and Judiciary Division B will meet on Monday, room 409 at 2 p.m. Universities and colleges will meet on Monday, 3 p.m. in room 210, and Energy will meet on Monday, 3:30 p.m. in room 216. Business and financial institutions will meet on Monday in room 407 upon recess.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Appreciate everyone's hard work this week. So many committee meetings. We have a deadline coming. Appreciate the meetings early Monday before session. Senator Norwood.
Introduction, Mr. President, at the appropriate time.
Please proceed.
In the South Gallery, I would just like to send it to recognize the Chief of Staff of Jackson State University, Mr. Van Gillespie, is greeting us this morning for the first time. If he was stand and send it, make him feel welcome.
Welcome. Big job. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Again, I want to thank y'all for your hard work this week. Number of legislation moving through here. We'll be busy on Monday and Tuesday. Senator Polk, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the Senate stand in recess until 11 a.m. this morning, at which time the journal will reflect that we're adjourned until 4 p.m. March 4th, Monday.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We stand adjourned.